I was dating a Russian guy who was in the Mafia, and I ended up going to prison for 10 years. And he would have gone to prison as well, but he would have gone to federal prison for other charges, other illegal things he was doing. However, he fled the country. Now, let me just tell you guys what the hell happened when he fled the country and how he tried my life while I was in prison, okay? Y'all are not gonna believe this shit. I'm in prison now. I have had my first and only child. I have signed a 10-year prison sentence plea deal, and I'm about 5 years in. All of a sudden, one night, they put out the call out for the next day. Call out is like the next day's schedule, and certain inmates have to go to certain places, like medical, dental, classification. And I see my name on the call out for classification, and it says legal call. The only people who go for legal calls to classification are people that are fighting their case and are going to speak with their attorneys, and or people that are going to see a detective, unbeknownst to them, who have new charges on them or want to talk to them about a case that they're working on. I wasn't fighting my case in court. I didn't have an attorney at the time. I had nothing in the court system. I was trying to finish my last couple years of my 10-year sentence and get the hell home. So why am I going down there? I'm tripping now, because literally, why am I going down there when the only other option for going down there is that a detective wants to talk to me about new charges or a case they're working on? So the whole night after I see this piece of paper that I have to go next morning at 12:30, the whole night I'm tripping out. The whole next morning I'm tripping out. Y'all, I get to classification. I say, hey, I'm here for my meeting. I have no idea what it's about, whatever. They're like, oh yeah, someone's here to see you. Now I know it's detectives, and I'm when I tell y'all, my heart went in my throat went in my stomach went in my booty hole, and I was about to pass out. They escort me to a private room, and there's a man in there, a shabby little, dirty little, small man. And I sit down across from him, and he proceeds to put his hand out and shake mine and say, hey, I don't even know what his name was at the moment, because I was freaking out. And he says, yeah, I'm here on behalf of my client. And he names the Russian guy that I was dating, the one that fled the country, and his family. And now I'm hella confused, because how do you have access to me? And he tells me he's a private investigator with a law firm. So you're not an attorney, you're not a detective, you're not a cop, you're not anybody in the legal system. You're a private detective with an attorney representing the guy I used to date who was in the mob and fled the country when I went to prison. What? How did you even get in here? Anyhow, he proceeds to tell me that yes, indeed, the Russian fled the country, which I already knew. And he wants to come back into the country because his dad is sick and has a heart issue, and he's not going to make it much longer. The only way he can legally get back into the country is if I sign a witness statement, a sworn affidavit, saying that anything I did, anything that I know about, had nothing to do with him. Nothing at all. He had no parts of it. And this wasn't like my more recent things. And if you know my story, you know what I'm talking about. So that's the only way he can come back in legally. If not, he would have to wait for the statute of limitations to run out. And then he proceeds to tell me, you're already in prison serving time for them. So like, why two people go down? You're already here. It's not going to bring you any more time or any more trouble. You're not going to be, they're not going to slap perjury on you because it was only you and you said it was only you. Now, the crimes that he was talking about that were related to me was the very first time I got arrested, with the car accident, with the pawnbroker and the stolen jewelry in the pawn shop, when I did something that I didn't even know that I was doing way back then. Not like my burglarizing homes, not the stuff I did by myself. Something that I did way in the beginning when he gave me jewelry, I pawned it and I didn't know it was stolen, okay? He got charged with that burglary as well. He wanted me to sign a witness sworn affidavit, a statement saying that old Russia had nothing to do with it and it was just me. I wouldn't have probably had such a big issue with it, except for, excuse me, homeboy, ex-boyfriend of mine, you've known where I'm at. You've known that I've been in this prison the entire time, and you didn't have the decency to reach out and write one time and say, hey, how you doing? Are you eating? Do you need any money? Is anyone taking your cookies? Are you surviving? Are you okay? I'm so sorry that I opened the door to this lifestyle. Nothing. And then when you do reach out and confirm that you know exactly where I'm at, it's by way of an attorney and his private investigator asking me to sign a statement saying that you have nothing to do with anything so that you can get back into the country legally and not have a warrant. So I'm sure you guys can imagine how I felt, but how would y'all feel? For real, how would y'all feel? So anyways, that's the story of the only contact I had with the Russian Mafia boyfriend while I was actually in prison, incarcerated, after he fled the country. And it wasn't the best contact. So if you guys want to know anything else, if you have any questions about that story, let me know. I love you guys, and I will see you on the next one. Deuces. Things I wish I would have known before starting my 10-year prison sentence. Let's go. Number 1, if anybody offers to get you a shower spot, cook you a meal, share their contraband with you, or wash your prison blues/sneakers, they want something from you, like a relationship. They're not just being nice. Nobody's just being nice. Number 2, if you're a naturally well-mannered person and you grew up just engaging people and saying like, hey, how are you doing? You cannot do that with staff. You cannot say, hey, Miss Smith, how was your Thanksgiving? Do you have any kids? What school do they go to? How was Christmas? What'd you eat? What'd you get, girl? I like your nails. Where'd you get them done? You can't do any of that because that's a 9-35, which is establishing a personal relationship with staff, and you will go to solitary confinement. So you have to literally put on your biatch girl panties on, and you can't be nice to staff. You can't interact with them. You have to disengage that entire part of your brain. Number 3, when you're new in prison, like, your first, 6-7 months, do not ever loan people things freely. If you're a nice person and you have plenty of canteen or plenty of money and it's not a bother to you, don't do it, because you will become a target and a mark. And then the day that you get tired of it and you say no, they'll try to fight you because they're going to be like, oh, what's her attitude problem? What's her issue? Why's she acting funny? So therefore, now you're going to have to fight because you were nice in the beginning. So even if you have an abundance of money in canteen, do not loan people things until you get to know everybody, so you know who you're loaning things to and they're actually your friends. And last but certainly not least, you better know how to take care of yourself. And when I say take care of yourself, I mean heal yourself from a headache, a cold, an injury, a cut, a burn, a scrape. If you ever get sick, injured, you need to know how to self-heal and self-care, because medical will not do anything for you, and they definitely won't do it expeditiously. So you need to know how to cure yourself, because you are all you've got in there. After spending 10 years in prison, I learned very quickly that there's 3 types of prison officers you want to become familiar with, because if you don't, it could be big problems for you, okay? And here they are from an inmate recently released. Let's go. The first type of officer is the good officer, okay? We love good officers. Those officers are firm but fair. The ones you can rely on, the ones that are gonna follow the rules, but they're not gonna be so petty that they're on every corner trying to lock you up, take you to confinement, or ruin your fun. The good officer is the one you wanna respect. The one that you know, if they tell you not to do something that day, even though they let you get away with it every other day, you better follow and adhere to what they're saying, because there's a reason they're saying it. They're probably looking out for you and for themselves. The good officer is always somebody you wanna take seriously and be fair with, because you know they're fair with you and they treat you like a human being. If you're in real actual trouble, you can rely on them, and they're going to try to do their very best to get you out of the situation. They're not going to let you get away with every single thing that you want to do, but they're always consistent. You know what you're going to get from them, and you know that you can actually rely on them if anything were to ever truly go wrong, okay? Good officers are a plus. The next kind of officer we also love, and that's the chill officer. The chill officer is the one, honey, they're just there for a paycheck, okay? This is their job. They're gonna kick their feet up. They're gonna take a nap. They're going to let you pretty much swing from the rafters and do whatever you wanna do. Unless you guys are, taking each other out, you know what I'm saying, doing some real drastic stuff, they're gonna let you do whatever you want. They're gonna let you boob in the bed with your girlfriend. They're gonna let you sneak out to canteen. But the downside to the chill officer is when you need them to work, like if you need them to go get a box of toilet paper, or a box of pads, or take the entire dorm to the canteen, they might be hungover from the night before, so they're not gonna probably take you. So while the chill officer is great for a Saturday or Sunday morning, because you know you're not gonna have to get up, make your bed, or do anything that normally you would have to do, they're also not the greatest if you actually really down hard need something or are in trouble, because bottom line is they just don't really want to work, okay? They're there for a paycheck and that's it. Last is the worst of the worst of the worst. This is your walking nightmare, okay? This is the officer that literally comes to cause havoc and wreak hell on everybody and everything. This is the bad officer. Listen, you guys, the bad officer is somebody who is so miserable that they want to inflict pain and misery on everybody else. It's usually a man who's a misogynist, bigot, nasty a-hole of a guy, and sometimes it's a woman who's just hateful and jealous of every other woman. But no matter if they're male or female, they are just a nasty individual. You have to walk around tiptoeing on eggshells every single day when they're there. It's like a game of survival, because you don't know if they're going to try to hem you up for something you didn't do, or, slam you on the ground and maybe knock some teeth out. You just don't know. They're unpredictable. You don't want to ask them for anything. You don't want to cross paths with them. When they're in the dorm, you just pray that they're only there for one shift, and you're quite literally praying that they do not become your dorm officer, because when they're around, all you can do is sit on your bunk, stay out of the way, and be very, very quiet. This is the kind of officer that's corrupt. This is the one you don't speak up around, and this is the one that ends up usually hurting inmates and people that are incarcerated. These are the 3 kind of officers that you will encounter. It's all a matter of learning the board and who the players are, okay? Once you master that, baby, you are golden, okay? You can survive anything in there. Love you guys, and I'll see you on the next one.